All right, so let me get this straight. So these non-melanated hybrids are claiming to be the ancient Egyptians, right? They're saying that they're the ancient Egyptians. And today they're dealing with a heat wave. In Arizona, they said it went up as far as 111 degrees. And people over there, well, let's not call them people. Let's say these hybrids are dropping dead, literally. I'm talking about falling out on the street, family, dropping dead, having heat stroke. So I asked this question: how could they have been the ancient Egyptians that lived in Africa? You know, in Africa, the heat is so intense. You definitely need a melanated skin complexion in order to survive, in order to absorb the heat. These devils rely on a sunscreen lotion. But yet still, they're claiming to be the ancient Egyptian. These culture bandits, everything of greatness, they acquire it. They steal it. They said it's theirs. If they can't, trick you into getting it, they literally steal it from you, right? Murder you and take it. So if they're claiming that the way how they survived back in ancient Egypt as so-called white people, and I can't really, I mean, honestly, family, can you picture a white person building a pyramid? According to the history, right? Men built the pyramid, which I doubt. I don't think it was men that built these pyramids, but we'll talk about that in another video. But can you actually picture these hybrids, these so-called white people building a pyramid in the heat without sunscreen lotion? Now they allege that back then they used to use olive oil. So why they not using olive oil today to protect them from the sun? You see what I'm saying? So family, as black people, right, we need, let's put it this way, we're not black either, we're different shades of brown. As melanated people, we need to embrace our beauty, our dark skin, melanated complexion. Stop bleaching your skin, because now that the Most High is purging this planet, right, purging these parasites from this planet by heating up the sun, if you have lightened your skin to look like your oppressor, you are going to be taken out with them. Because the Most High is literally purging this planet from these parasites. Their judgment has begun. Matter of fact, their judgment had begun a long time ago, but now it's being ramped up. Because see, for over 6,000 years, this earth is not millions of years old like how they tell y'all in the history books. That's a lie. How could they prove that? How can they karma date this earth? How can they prove that this earth is millions and millions of years old? You show me somebody that's been around for a million years and say, listen, I've been around for a million years, and yes, this earth is actually a million years old. How could they determine that shit? Just like how they tell you that the earth is round, spinning 1,000 miles an hour. How do they know that this earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour? If the earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour, how can you leave from one airport to another and land perfectly on a runway, right? Spinning 1,000 miles an hour. Think about this shit. Doesn't make any sense. So these so-called ancient Egyptians today are dropping dead from the sun. But yesterday they say there was an ancient Egyptian that was living in Egypt, right, that built the pyramids. Can you really picture any so-called white person in the sun for that long? They couldn't even pick their own cotton. That's why they needed slaves. You know what I'm saying? That's why they needed dark melanated people that can absorb the sun, that can tolerate the sun. They couldn't even, be in the sun for too long because they know that the sun is their mortal enemies. You see what I'm saying? This is why they worship the Son of God. They worship the sun. They literally worship the sun because they fear the sun. And y'all think that the Catholic Church, they worship Jesus Christ, the Son of God. No, it's the S-U-N of God. If you notice, all of these saints have a halo around their heads. Look at these saints. Google Jesus Christ photo or the saints. They all have a halo going around their head because they're actually paying tribute to the sun, Horus, the sun god Horus. Even the Pope, he walk around with a staff, a literal sun disc on his staff. I'm telling you, fam, this shit is deep. These hybrids actually worship the sun because they know their sun is their mortal enemy. So again, can anybody tell me or prove to me that the so-called white man, right, the hybrid beings that came from us, were actually the ancient Egyptians? Can you picture them ruling over ancient Kemet? Can you picture them ruling over ancient Egypt? White people ruling in Africa as kings and pharaohs. Think about this shit. It doesn't make sense. According to their story, right, Jesus Christ, not even Jesus, yeah, actually Jesus Christ went into Egypt as well. Everybody, if you notice the story, everybody went into Egypt. Moses went into Egypt. Joseph went into Egypt. Jesus went into Egypt. Everybody went into Egypt. Why Egypt? Why everybody going into Africa? Why all these so-called Caucasian always end up in Africa? Because could the story be taken from Africa, family? Can the story of the Bible was taken from ancient Egypt? You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I want to go there sometime on this video and show y'all and teach y'all some shit about the story that was told to us, the so-called, even the so-called Moses story. You know, the Epic of Gilgamesh. That's had the same. They literally plagiarized that Noah flood from Epic of Gilgamesh. Not saying these stories never existed. Not saying that we never had leaders and real messiahs that led us out of certain situation. It did happen, but they have literally put a remix on the shit. They have put a European spin on our history. That's why I keep telling y'all the so-called Bible y'all read today is not our book. It's their book with our stories in the shit, and they did a remix on it. Notice all of these so-called characters in the Bible got European names. Why? Except for the Old Testament, you might have Ezekiel, you might have a couple of Ezekiel, you might have a couple of so-called Hebrew names in the Bible, right, in the Old Testament. But notice in the New Testament, everybody has a European name. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, Peter, Mary, you know what I'm saying? Joseph. All these are European names. And y'all gonna tell me that the New Testament part of the Bible is not a fucking European construct? Y'all really believe that this so-called Jesus Christ, whatever name you want to give him, Yahweh Shai, Yahushua, Jesus, whatever name you want to give him, whatever skin tone you want to give him, you want to tell me that y'all can't see between the line that these devils have tricked us into worshiping their people? Notice all around the world, they always put up statues of themselves because they idolize themselves. They worship themselves, family. And the Bible tells you you're not supposed to worship any idols. And they actually give you an image of Jesus Christ on the cross, being crucified. And the reason why they did that shit, because they want you to believe anyway, that this so-called white Jesus, this so-called white Messiah, the so-called white Savior, who ain't saving nobody, especially black folks, right, sacrifice his life. So they depict him as being a sacrificial lamb. You tell me which white man you know is going to sacrifice himself for any motherfucker. Not even their own family. You tell me one white person that's going to sacrifice himself for the whole world. These devils, when they heard about the 9/11 shit, they lied and said Saddam Hussein was behind 9/11. They went in, they killed everybody. They tried to take out Saddam, and they did take out Saddam and his son. Why didn't they forgive? They always talk about forgive. They want black people to forgive when they gun us down and rape us and lynch us and do all type of shit. They want us to forgive them. Why didn't they forgive the so-called 9/11 perpetrators? Why didn't they do? No, they didn't do that shit. No, sir. They don't practice what they preach. They wrote the fucking Bible, family. The Bible is a slave doctrine. I'm telling you, I know it's hard to hear this shit coming from Trendsetter. I do believe in the Torah, not the Torah in the Bible. Not the Torah in the Bible, the scrolls. That's what I deal with. I don't deal with the motherfucking Bible anymore because the Bible is their construct. You really believe they're going to give you a way to worship your creator? Think about it. You really believe these same people that hate us is going to give you a book that's going to tell you in order to be saved, right? You have to believe in a motherfucker named Jesus Christ. Those who lose their life shall save their life, and those who save their life shall lose their life. That's what Jesus said. So in other words, if you're trying to save your life, you're going to lose the shit. Or it's better for you to actually try to lose your life in order to save it. So that means it's okay to commit suicide because you'll be losing your life and then you'll save your life in the end. I mean, family, listen, man, I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but I'm telling you right now, family, we have been deceived. These so-called ancient Egyptians that cannot even tolerate the beach for too long without their sunscreen lotion, that lied and said that they're the ancient Egyptians, is the same people that gave y'all this book called the Bible, right? And notice everything in the Bible. It's every book in the Bible says, according in the New Testament, according to Matthew, according to this, according to John. It doesn't say thus saith the Lord. It says according. So in other words, according to this person that write this passage in the Bible, which was one person really, right? The Apostle Paul never existed, family, never existed. The Apostle Paul is a fall guy. Apollyon was the one that everything that you see, everything that Apostle Paul allegedly spoke of in the New Testament. It's based on philosophy. I'm telling you, it's so fucking deep. The Bible is not a magic book. It's not a magic book. And if anything, it's a book, that book of witchcraft. Because you have the same evil hybrids, right? Call themselves the Egyptians. I keep saying that shit because it's hilarious. It's funny that these devils could claim to be the original Egyptians. These non-fucking melanated beings say that they are the Egyptian. Look at this nigga over there. If she was the Egyptian, this bitch right here. Look at this bitch. She was the Egyptian. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, right.